Okay, so
how are you, Steve?
I'm well confused, obviously. Otherwise, I would have been here on time. I've got like a big pile of stuff I'm supposed to have had done last week, but I kind of disappeared over the weekend and played a gig up north, and now I have to make up for that. And because I was actually here early, and I went,
Okay.
oh, well, just start working a little.
Right.
Boom! I go, oh, look, it's after 12 o'clock.
Oh,
Supposed to do? Oh, yes. I apologize deeply.
hey, I'll tell you, that's totally fine. I told you I would work around your schedule, so I'm just glad that we've got the chance to be able to hang out with you for a while today.
Hey there.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I'm down in Olympia,
I like
Washington,
fun.
and this is Steve. I'm down in Olympia, Washington, about an hour south of Seattle,
Okay.
and he's up in Tacoma, which is just like used to be like what 30 minutes from Seattle. Yeah.
But it's been moving farther away.
Yeah. I think it's that continental drift. I don't know. Maybe
I think it's
just a
moving
cultural
close.
drift.
It's the traffic.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've got my brother lives just outside of Seattle, and so I've been stuck in that traffic before.
Okay. Well, when you say that, especially after being down in the Los Angeles area, that says something.
Well, like 20 years ago when I was there, I don't remember traffic at all. But the
Really?
last time
Okay.
I was there, I do remember.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Wow.
Of course, we were bussed in and we stayed downtown and didn't have to deal with it really. So I take that back. Never mind.
It's a lot different when somebody's driving you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Totally. Thank you,
Well,
Steve.
that's as rock and roll as I can possibly
Hey,
get.
you know what? For what is it? Is it a Monday, I think? Yeah, I'd say you're doing
Yeah.
pretty all right.
Well, thanks. I had an 8.5 hour drive yesterday.
Oh
So
my God, man, I can't even imagine what your day planner must look like.
well, it's only been lately, through the 2 years of pandemic, it was pretty empty.
Okay.
And
Okay.
over this last year, everything kind of piled on top of each other.
Right.
And actually, at my age, it feels good to be useful.
Oh, well, and you've been more than useful though, because you just got back from a trip to New York, if I remember right, right?
Yeah, we actually 2 trips to New York.
Okay.
We wrote the score to a movie called White Noise, which is based on a Dan DeLeo film. And actually, I just got notice that he and probably I have to put together a little suite of music's premiere in the first week in November.
Wow.
Or I forget. It's like some presentation of Netflix movies, music of some sort.
Okay.
But yeah, White Noise. So it's Noah Baumbach, and it looks like a really good film. And Danny did a really good job. It was really fun to work on.
Danny does all right in the music department, I think.
He's done well for me.
No doubt. Well, and what you guys met when you were how old?
Not that young. I auditioned for the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo just out of college, about 1975 or 6, something like that.
Wow. Okay.
And
Wow.
I got the audition because one of my best friends, a sax player in high school, his younger brother had been playing with the Mystic Knights as a street band, and they lost their guitar player, who was who's this wonderful Django Reinhardt guitar player.
Okay.
And they wanted to audition somebody who could take his place. And luckily I passed them the audition. I could fake my way through a little Django.
Wow. And so this was circa like 75, you said?
76, yeah, 75,
Okay, okay.
76. I think by 77 I was in 76. 77 we played, no, it had to be 75, you're right, because we played the Tokyo 1976 Tokyo Song Festival.
Oh, wow.
The Mystic Nights of the Oingo Boingo.
Wow. And this is a funny trivia fact, but you guys played at least on one episode of the Gong Show.
On what we played on one of the first, we were at the first filming session where they filmed lots of episodes. Okay. But we were in that first batch. Yeah, we
wow.
did. And,
okay.
We oddly won after what's his name?
Not the Gene dancing machine.
No, one of the judges made lewd remarks to. We had an accordion player in a bathing suit playing and I played flute when we had funny hats and we were a Gong Show item.
Right.
And but we were the first band to insist getting union musician pay.
Really?
So that anybody who went on there got paid for being on the show, whether you won or lost. You got paid something for if you were in the musicians union.
Right. Wow.
That's I was told this afterwards. I mean, we did get. I mean, we won by a small margin, but our manager, finagled to make sure that we got union pay too.
Oh my gosh! Wow, and what a wild show that was. Yeah, I'm sure that really put the binders on Chuck Barris there for a little while.
Yeah, I remember him being pretty crazy, pretty like all over the place while we were there. We were only there, one day doing this show.
Right. Yeah. Hey, Sponge, do you have anything that you'd like to bounce off of Mr. Steve while we're hanging out today?
I don't know. I'm just listening because I just love Oingo Boingo. So,
Have you ever caught them?
What?
Have you ever caught them live?
No, I missed. I just.
You're too young.
Well, I'm actually. I'm not that. I'm 57.
Not that young.
That's too young. I'm 70. I got you all beat.
No way.
Well, I was the oldest person on stage at Coachella. Danny got it, but he's 2 years younger. I mean, everyone was saying, but I was the oldest person on that stage. It's like,
I was pretty bummed. You guys just played down in down at the Bowl, right? Not too long ago.
No, actually, Danny's that's the work I'm doing now. Is the idea was to take the Coachella show and do it at the Hollywood Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be. Except for Danny's like reworking it, which is what he always does. He never just like sits with something and lets it go. So he's adding songs and changing longer arrangements, and because for Coachella he had to shorten all kinds of things. Sanity was like half as long as the song really should be to get any kind of point across it, and now he's got it back to a longer length. Things like that. He added more to a band, kind of responsible, making sure the charts are there and ready to go, and they're starting rehearsals next week. So, he's been busy. He's busy.
And I was going to say, and yeah, you have been too. Well, we've been kind of putting around with this idea of getting a chance to talk for a little bit, for quite a number of months now. So, hey, but
it was New York. It was a planned family vacation, which I actually snuck in between, and then I play with it's called Oingo Boingo Former Members, which is
right.
Everybody but Danny, or not everybody, but 5 or 6 of us. So sax player Sam, Carl, keyboard player John Avila, bass player John Hernandez, drummer are their original ones. We have John's son Freddie sometimes plays bass, and we got trumpet player Brian Schwartz and a great singer Brendan McCreary, whose brother is Bear McCreary, who does he just did the score to the Lord of the Rings. He did that.
I just saw I did just see that name. I was like, why do I know that name? Because I just watched that last night.
Which is how we met Brendan, who's he's like a phenomenal singer, through Bear. Bear was a Boingo fan who hired John, me, and Doug Lacey, who was our accordion player, Rhodey, the old Boingo, for some of his film stuff at USC. And for me, I was at the point where I hadn't really been playing guitar for a while. I had been just
Really?
orchestrating for Danny.
Okay.
So Baker hired me as a guitar player, and that thrilled me. And so I played. He did the what's the one about the Walking Dead. Walking Dead, is that the right name?
Oh,
The TV
okay.
show, the series.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
Okay.
did that, and the first few seasons I was playing electric guitar, and then electric banjo. He had me doing distorted banjo and stuff. And
Wow.
he Bear McCreary boosted my confidence as a guitar player and used me as a guitar player, not as an orchestrator, and kind of pulled me out of my shell, and I started playing guitar a whole lot after that. This was
Wow. Well, how long did you put it down for?
It had to be about at least 95 to at least 10 years.
Really?
It wasn't.
And just never
It wasn't that I didn't play, but nobody was calling me for guitar. The band
Right,
broke
right,
up. I
right.
was working for Danny, and
Okay.
Danny, I wasn't playing guitar, so I had no outlet. Actually, my wife's right around the same time. My wife convinced me to have backyard jams, and so I called a bunch of musicians
Nice.
to come, and we and their families. So it ended up being a family thing.
Right.
But I wanted to make it a theme, and I didn't want musicians coming being expecting to know all these things. So I would spend a whole 2 or 3 weeks putting together charts, just fake charts. So we did the Beatles, we did the Beach Boys, we did the Cure, we did Radiohead, and so every one of the jams had a different theme.
Right, right.
Stones and I Tina Turner together, and that kind of stuff. It was
Cool.
it was really fun to try to put it together as a
I'll bet. How? Yeah. Oh, that's
so that got me playing guitar again too, and I've been playing with a band called Jackie O. We play in the Valley playing a few places, but usually about once a month, and it's with a guitar player Ira Ingber, whose brother was Elliot Ingber in Captain Beefheart. And then John Avila, who was from Boingo, plays with me, and then a drummer named David Raven, who's kind of played with everybody. He's so it's a real kind of musicians band.
Right, right.
And we get to tear apart pop songs, and we have a good time. We really have a good time.
How cool. And you said you play about once a month then?
Yeah, about once a month.
Okay.
We're playing at Ireland's this Friday. Ireland's at 32.
Okay.
Last Monday we played at a place in $7 grand in downtown LA.
Wow, how cool. And that, I think that's one of the best parts of all of this, Steve, is the fact that you remain busy this whole time.
I've been so lucky. I'm managing to play with at least 3 bands. I play with the VATOS former members. We just played Saturday up at the winery in Saratoga, California, and I still play with the Strawberry Alarm Clock when I can. The Strawberry Alarm Clock was the clock. Well,
he was in the Strawberry Alarm Clock. I just recently found that out.
I am now kind of. When I can, I play with them, which is as much as I can.
But you weren't then, though.
No, my mother wouldn't let me join the band. I was 14 years old.
I was going to say, you were really young. Yeah.
I wrote songs with my neighbor, and he ended up joining the band as their second bass player until the first bass player got kicked out.
No way.
So, and they took a bunch of our songs for their first album.
Okay.
None of the hits. It was like they had Incense and Peppermints on the radio, and it's like, oh boy, but they needed songs to fill it out.
Okay.
So the drummer was a friend of my next door neighbor who was a bass player, and he and I had a book of songs we'd been writing as kids in my bedroom, and they ended up on this Strawberry Alarm Clock record. So
oh my gosh!
I credit the fact that experience allowed me to become a music major in school. My parents saw that I was making money,
right,
as a musician at 14
right.
years old. So I got, when I said I don't want to be a doctor, I'm going to switch my major, I didn't get much flack. They said, well, maybe you should. So I took like physics courses and biology courses as a backup.
Right. Yeah.
But I finished my composition major at UCLA, and I credit that with being able to After that, I started playing at the Holiday Inn. You know, what do you do as a musician? It was like I realized that wasn't a good, you know, financial move.
You get the parents rethinking their whole idea now, Steve.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it came in really handy, you know, years later after being with Mystic Nice and Boingo. Mystic Nice, I got to do some arrangements, and Boingo, I ended up doing lots of all the horn arrangements and things like that.
Okay.
And so then when Danny had this chance for the film, he knew I had education, which, you know, so
right. Well, you wouldn't be employed by somebody of his, like, you know, range and talent if it weren't for the fact that you had your own. You know, and the thing is
thank you.
Steve, you're as much of a part of Oingo Boingo. I mean, one of my favorite album covers, and I think it's actually the backside. Oh, and I want to say it's Nothing to Fear, but I could be wrong. But
no, it's
got this really fearful look on your face, and I don't remember what you're looking at, but I love that.
We were tricked. We were told that at the time there was a Motels album where all you saw was the eyes and lips. We were told that's what it was going to be. So they put white makeup on us, but it wasn't enough white makeup to make it happen. So the picture didn't turn out at all like they said it would.
Oh no.
And at that point it was too late.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you gotta love those people at the record company. Boingo used to do like a Halloween show, correct?
Boingo always, well, because some of the material is very Halloween. It was Danny's favorite holiday. So yeah, we used to do big at Irvine Meadows, which is, I forget, it changed names. It was something else. It used to be Lion Country Safari, and it was funny that at the gig last weekend, a guy came up and said that he would. He loved the Halloween shows there because they decked out a whole Halloween scary stuff to walk through before you got the thing. So our name became synonymous with Halloween here in Los Angeles.
Right.
I mean, that's the Dead Man's Party gets airplay every year.
Yeah, right? I was gonna say Dead Man's Party is probably on every Halloween various artist soundtrack now that there is.
The nicest thing happened a couple of weeks ago. One of those shows where there's people who haven't heard the song at all, and they react to it, kind of thing. Oh, maybe they were acting, but it was really sweet. They really like, oh, I could dance all night with that. Oh, listen. It was exciting to hear younger people who had no idea. They read a bio of Danny, and then by the end they said, oh, I know I'm Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right.
Before they claimed not to have heard of him at all, but that they loved the song, and so that made me feel great.
No doubt. Well, you know, those millennials, there's a lot of liars in the bunch.
Oh, really?
You're not my kids.
As if there's no liars in my.
Oh, are you kidding me? Yeah. No, I'm not just narrowing it down to them. No, that's funny. But it is cool though when you see that resurgence happen. You know, there's like a new interest, or there's, you know, somebody's discovering you for the first time.
Yeah, one of the nicest things about still playing with the VATOS band is actually interacting with fans that have known us for years. People coming up saying how some of the songs have affected their life. There's one couple came up the other night, and she had made this little needlepoint thing that said "Boingo made me do it," and their relationship started because they both had an interest in Boingo. So that's really kind of cute.
Yeah.
But then people come up and say how it's changed their life, or say I was at I play guitar on a couple Jerry Casale songs, and so they invited me to a Devo Fest about a month or so ago. That's the other reason I was kind of to a Devo Fest, just to talk. So Jerry got up, showed videos of the songs, and they played the songs, and then I got up with him and we talked about how the recording process happened on the two things.
Okay.
But as I was signing late, I'm kind of like not getting focused here. But what I meant to go to is, as we were signing things, a woman came up and was whispering in my ear how Out of Control, one of Danny's songs, which is totally about suicide and to talk people out of suicide. Okay. And she said it saved her life, and it was just like,
Wow.
So to feel like I was involved in something Danny wrote that did something for someone's life, specifically positive, it's kind of great.
To hear that from somebody, out of the mouth of somebody that you really did touch. Yeah, I can't even imagine.
And the guy who put on the Devo Fest, it was all Devo people, so I didn't expect anybody to really care about me much. Okay, I play guitar on the song,
right.
but the guy who put it on asked me a question about, well, how did I do this guitar solo on No Spill Blood? What was my thinking? And I go, that was 35 years, 30. And there's like we put at least 3 different versions of it. There was the record Alive. We did about an album called Alive where we did that song also, and then we did our final farewell concert. We did that song. So there's 3 different guitar solos. I'm pretty sure they're completely different because I don't remember memorizing any of them.
And you don't remember where you were at that moment, or
exactly. But it was so nice to be asked.
yeah. Oh,
someone cared enough to listen to that and to ask me that question. I was touched.
Just out of curiosity, are you inundated with a lot of requests for interviews?
Actually, just in this last month, there's like 4 other on my desk that it kind of had been putting off, just like I've been put off you until you nailed me.
Hey, I got you out of the way. That's all I care about. So.
With me, because I'm awful, as you can tell, I'm just not good at interviews. I'm uncomfortable. You can tell I'm nervously talking.
Great.
Moving my hands, which is one of the comments from the Devo Fest, that someone took pictures of me and I talk with my hands. It's like,
well, you said you're an orchestrator, so.
There I go.
Yeah.
Actually, and with Danny, with Coachella, I got to conduct. I got to be a conductor.
Really?
That's cool.
And so in 2 weeks, I get to conduct a small orchestra at the Hollywood Bowl.
Wow.
Really cool.
Wow.
It'll go on my resume as if someone will hire me for that.
How cool! Now, is that Danny's production or is that
Oh yeah, Danny's been
Okay, so he's got that. Not is that including Halloween night or just right before Halloween?
No, it's the 28th and 9th.
Okay, 29th.
Friday and Saturday, whatever days those are.
How cool!
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
gotta be excited.
like next, not this week, but the week after next, I'm playing with the VATOS. I call it VATOS because that's the drummer's nickname.
Right.
Former members at the Coach House, which for 2 nights we're doing down in San Juan Capistrano. So I've got like a month of actually playing guitar. Then it ends with me conducting. I get to play 1 song with Danny. So it's been a really nice this has been about 6 months. I've been working and playing and feeling like I'm a musician again.
That is totally awesome. Because I mean, like even this morning, I'm sitting listening to some of my favorite Oingo stuff. And I'm just like totally taken back to like 1981, 82, 83. You guys played something called the Wave Spectacular up in Seattle, probably at the Seattle Center.
Okay.
Back in like 1982.
Okay. This is like when Ray Charles was played. I remember we played where there's a bunch of acts.
Bumper Shoot?
No, it wasn't Bumper Shoot. It was the Wave Spectacular.
We played at this spectacular. Okay.
KYYX put it on. And you were along the on the same days as like a Wall of Voodoo, Josie Cotton. God, who else was down there? I think X might have been there.
Last weekend, Josie Cotton opened. She was one of the opening acts.
Really?
She's still around. She's really sweet.
She is, I know. And her latest stuff is awesome.
Yeah, good.
Wow. Yeah, I've been trying to get her on the program with us, but she's not easy to want to get a hold of either. So, but I'm trying. With us kind of bringing that up. And now, Sponge, are you sure there's nothing you have to bounce off of it yet?
I don't know. I'm just enjoying the little history tour and everything else. And I keep plugging in all the band names you keep mentioning so I can. We don't get good tours up here. Seattle is like the smaller bands, the offshoot bands as much. So
the trouble with all the local bands I all the bands I play with, Strawberry Lime Clock and the Boingo, we're not a band that can. None of them travel further than we can drive.
Right.
Driving up to Saddle means paying for a hotel room. So we overnights are rare.
Yeah.
Well, next time I go, I'll be. My sister lives in LA, so she lives in Sherman Oaks.
Oh,
so
I grew up in Woodland Hills.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I will. It's one of those things. Lately is what gonna travel or book. A lot of people are traveling to see music now because it's the only way you get to see some of the bands you want to see. And the smaller venues are best, and we just miss out on a lot of that.
Yeah, you have to kind of be a big act to afford to do a real tour.
Yeah.
Seems to me. I am securely not in touch with the way any of the business works.
But the business is so different in a post-COVID world, though, too.
That even makes it me further away.
Yeah.
So I go with the flow. I'm not on top of any of that. So
right. How did you do through all that? You managed it okay?
The pandemic?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, work-wise, we started doing, which I'm still bad at. We did some recording Zoom-wise, and it's kind of just an awful experience. We did Doctor Strange that way. We were Danny had COVID, and he was in Santa Barbara on his Zoom, and I was at Disney with Zoom, and we were with this other process from Abbey Road to Disney, and just communications impossible. We had to have 2 Zooms so that Danny and I could talk while the recording was going on, so he could say, "Oh, bar 58," or the strings need to do that, and I can make notes and change it, rather than to have to play it over again and then talk about it. And then we had to talk to the engineer on a separate Zoom so that we wouldn't be talking and everybody in the recording studio would be hearing us. Because that's how it started. The first day it was like, and I'm talking to Danny, and they're hearing every little conversation. It's just awful. I don't know how I got there. What was the question?
Was
there a question?
During the function during the pandemic.
The best thing about pandemic is it forced me to walk. I couldn't get to the gym. I usually had gone, and I found that if I was walking, I walked about 2 hours a day and started walking fast. I lost 20 pounds and felt great.
Nice.
As soon as the pandemic ended, I gained it all back and stopped walking. It felt really good for a moment. So the pandemic was good to me then.
Good. It was interesting, especially early on, getting a chance to talk to different artists from around the world and to hear like what was going on in their areas. And how people were dealing with it. Interesting stuff, especially now looking back on it. But I do need to let you know, when you ever slow down enough again in the future and want to come back and come in for another visit, Steve, I'd love to have you in anytime.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely keep that in mind. So in all your travels, has there ever been a time, have you ever looked up in the sky and seen anything of like an aerial phenomenon kind of theme in all of your days?
Honestly, no. But the most surprising thing was my mom lived in Las Vegas when they retired, and my dad had died, and we were visiting, and my dad had just died, and up in the sky was this really bright object just hovering over Las Vegas, and I was thinking, oh, Area 51. What and it turned out to be Jupiter, and Jupiter was just blazing. And actually, a couple weeks ago, last week before I left, it was really bright in the sky here in LA.
Right.
So it's a regular thing. But that had me thinking that I was seeing a flying saucer for a moment.
I'll bet. Wow. And the desert is such an awesome place too for like stargazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, from one end to the other. I love that.
Have you ever been to Integratron?
No.
Oh, do you know where Pappy and Harriet's is near Joshua Tree? Pappy and Harriet's is a big bar, that like it's a hipster kind of place to play. Well, just beyond it is this place called Integratron, that was built by some guy, I think in the 20s, based on based on something he got from aliens and from Tesla and from the Bible. There's no metal in it, and it's a huge dome that's a parabolic reflector. So you go inside and talk on one side, you can whisper on one side, you can hear people, that kind of thing. You hear
Yes.
But now they have it's called music bath is what they've been calling it.
Okay. And I see, yeah, I know what you're talking
All these bowls, and everybody lays down on the floor, and the sound, because it's doing this parabolic thing, shoots through your brain, and it's really it's cool. It's worth going for. The guy who built it was apparently a big UFO one who like instigated a whole little subculture of UFO sightings.
Right. I think I've seen a documentary about him before. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
and it's like the building is kind of shaped like that, isn't it?
Well, no, this might be so. It kind of looks like an observatory because it has a crystal.
All wood.
Okay.
It's no longer there, but it was focusing energy into the room.
Okay.
It's actually been in it's been in a few movies. It's a pretty cool, awesome space.
There's a guy interviewed him on a travel log, and they interviewed him at that place at the Integratron.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, there's some weird, wacky stuff out there. Actually, Sponge was one of the regular panelists on this podcast that we did for about almost 2 years, called Hook, Line, and Thinker. Came completely out of the blue, but every week we talk about we'd like review different footage of like aerial phenomenon and cryptids.
Okay. Yeah.
When you get them off of TikTok, or when you see them on TikTok, you really have to kind of shake your head and just like, there's some great filmmakers out there. But there's some out there though that are just like, if that's not CGI, that's freaky stuff.
Yeah. No, I've had I say I haven't had any sightings, but I've had friends who I trust completely and relatives say that they have seen things. My son's ex-girlfriend's father was on an airplane where everybody saw something, and they brought them down and had to debrief them. They made them land someplace else and debrief them so to convince them they didn't see what they saw.
I don't think I'd get back up in the plane after that. I think I would be done flying for a while.
I would go again.
Yeah,
of course.
Wow, how interesting. So we know what's going on with you in the relative near future. What are your words? Do you have anything to say to the listening and viewing audience today? Any words that you want to pass on?
Yeah, it is. I just Halloween's technically about the dead, and it's something that everybody should respect their ancestors.
Right.
I often, kind of think of my parents around Halloween and how much fun I had with them growing up, and on Halloween particularly. And anyway, yeah, have a good time, but remember,
have a great time. You've got some cool stuff coming up.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh yeah, you bet. I'm just glad that we had a chance to be able to spend some time with you today. So let's see. I'm trying to think. What is your favorite movie monster? If you had to pick one out of all of them, which one would it be? Or top two?
The Thing and the Crawling Eye. The Fly, when I went and saw it as a kid, made me run out of the theater at the beginning. And War of the Worlds, when the Thing first came up out of the original War of the Worlds came up and zapped the farmers, I ran out of I had a problem with that. But no, the Thing, I remember being terrified with the original Thing.
The carrot.
Yeah,
the giant carrot.
What?
The giant carrot.
Yeah, the giant carrot.
Yeah.
And but the Crawling Eye was the other creepy one because it was the mountains and fog. Do you remember what the Crawling Eye? The aliens came down from somewhere and there was all this fog over the top of the mountains. Well, it kind of looked like San Francisco with the towers and where there's always fog on the top. And
Steve, I want to say thank you so much for taking some time today. Totally have appreciated having a few minutes with you.
My pleasure. I hope you edited this so it makes some sense.
We will edit this down. No worries. I promise you I will.
Hi, I'm Steve Bartek, my orchestrator, guitar player, and you guys should be watching and listening to The Groove Zone out of Olympia, Washington.
Woohoo! Rock and roll.
Well,
Steve.
that's as rock and roll as I can possibly
Hey, you know what?